The Runaway Mustang and the Stray Cat. In the heart of the Montana wilderness, a wild Mustang named Thunder roamed free. His glossy black coat shimmered under the sun, and his fierce spirit had kept him ahead of ranchers who had tried to tame him. No one could catch him. Until one fateful evening, when a sudden thunderstorm startled him. As the storm raged, Thunder lost his footing on the slippery rocks of a canyon trail. He tumbled down and found himself trapped in a narrow ravine, his leg caught between two stones. For the first time, the mighty horse was vulnerable. As night fell, a small pair of glowing eyes emerged from the darkness. A stray cat, tiny, scruffy, and determined, crept closer. She had no name, but she had survived alone in the wild for years. Seeing the injured horse, she didn't flee. Instead, she curled up beside him, purring softly to keep him calm. The storm cleared, but Thunder was still trapped. Each time he struggled, pain shot through his leg. The cat, sensing his distress, did something unexpected. She ran toward a distant ranch, her tiny paws moving swiftly across the land. At dawn, Rancher Ella stepped outside to find the scruffy cat meowing loudly, tugging at her bootlace as if begging her to follow. Curious, Ella grabbed a rope and saddle and followed the persistent feline into the canyon. When she saw the majestic Mustang trapped and exhausted, her heart pounded. Carefully, she removed the stones, whispering soothing words. Thunder flinched, but didn't resist. As Ella treated his wound, the stray cat nuzzled against his leg as if reassuring him. Thunder eventually healed, but something had changed. He no longer ran from Ella. And the little cat? She had found a home on the ranch, sleeping on Thunder's back, curled up in his mane. The wild horse had been saved by an unlikely friend, and from that day on, they were inseparable. A runaway Mustang and a brave little cat, proving that sometimes the smallest friends make the biggest difference. As Thunder and the little cat, whom Ella named Whiskers, became the talk of the ranch, no one had ever seen a wild Mustang so accepting of human presence, and certainly not one with a cat perched on its back. Ella, a seasoned rancher, knew that a horse like Thunder was special. He had the spirit of the wild, but he chose to stay. She never forced him into a stall or tied him with ropes. He was free to leave any time. But he didn't. He stayed, always with Whiskers nestled in his thick mane, their bond unbreakable. One crisp autumn morning, something unusual happened. A pack of coyotes, hungry and desperate, crept toward the ranch. They had been lurking in the foothills for days, watching the livestock, waiting for a moment of weakness. And now, with the sun barely rising, they saw an opportunity. A small, lost lamb had wandered too far from the herd. Whiskers, always alert, was the first to notice. She hissed and let out a sharp cry, waking Thunder instantly. The Mustang's ears pinned back, his nostrils flared. He knew danger when he saw it. Without hesitation, he galloped toward the threat, Whiskers clinging to his mane. As Thunder approached, the coyotes hesitated, but hunger drove them forward. The Mustang reared up, his powerful hooves slamming into the earth, sending dust flying. He let out a deafening neigh that echoed across the valley. It was a warning, a challenge. One coyote lunged toward the lamb, but before its teeth could sink in, Thunder charged. The sheer force of his presence sent the pack scattering. One coyote, braver than the rest, tried to stand its ground, but Thunder kicked up his hind legs, sending it yelping into the bushes. Whiskers, from her high perch, leaped off Thunder's back, landing near the frightened lamb. With a sharp swipe of her tiny claws, she startled a lingering coyote, making it reconsider its next move. The ranch hands had heard the commotion and came running. By the time they arrived, Thunder stood guard over the rescued lamb, with Whiskers proudly beside him. The coyotes had disappeared into the hills, defeated. Ella rushed to the Mustang, stroking his powerful neck. "You saved him, Thunder. You and Whiskers." From that day on, Thunder wasn't just a wild horse anymore. He was the guardian of the ranch. And Whiskers? She was his loyal second-in-command, the tiny but fearless cat who had once saved him. And now, together, they watched over everyone else. Legends spread about the wild Mustang and the cat who ruled the ranch, proving that true friendship knows no bounds, not of species, not of size, and certainly not of fear. As Thunder and Whiskers settled into their new roles as protectors of the ranch, their legend spread far beyond Montana. Travelers, cowboys, and even journalists came to see the wild Mustang with the fearless cat, a duo unlike any other. One winter morning, the ranch was covered in a thick blanket of snow. A fierce blizzard had rolled in overnight, making the land nearly impossible to navigate. The livestock huddled together for warmth, and Ella made sure the fires burned high. But as she did her morning rounds, she noticed something troubling. One of her colts was missing. The young horse, barely a few months old, must have wandered off during the night. With the snowstorm still raging, searching for him seemed impossible. But Thunder and Whiskers had other plans. Without hesitation, Thunder snorted and stomped his hooves, signaling that he wanted to go. Ella hesitated. Could he really find the colt in this storm? But she trusted him. Wrapping Whiskers in a warm scarf, she gently placed her on Thunder's back, and the pair set off into the blinding snow. The storm howled around them, but Thunder moved with purpose. Whiskers, nestled in his thick mane, kept her sharp eyes scanning the white wilderness. Hours passed. The snow was relentless, but Thunder never slowed. And then Whiskers perked up. Her ears twitched, and she let out a loud, sharp meow. She had seen something. Thunder followed her gaze and spotted a small, shivering figure half buried in the snow. The lost colt. The young horse was weak, barely able to move. Thunder nudged him gently, encouraging him to stand, but the colt's legs wobbled. That's when Whiskers sprang into action. She jumped down and began pawing at the colt's face, gently nipping at his ears, urging him to wake up. Her tiny form was barely a fraction of his size, but her determination was powerful. Slowly, the colt stirred. Thunder lowered his head and used his strong neck to lift the young horse to his feet. Then, with the colt leaning against him for support, they began the long journey home. By the time they reached the ranch, the storm had begun to clear. Ella, who had been anxiously waiting by the fence, cried out in relief as she saw Thunder, Whiskers, and the colt emerging from the snow. The little horse was weak, but he was safe. Thanks to Thunder's strength and Whiskers' sharp instincts, another life had been saved. From that day forward, no one questioned Thunder's place at the ranch. He wasn't just a wild Mustang anymore. He was its protector, its leader, and its heart. And Whiskers? She was the tiny warrior who never backed down, no matter how big the challenge. Together, they proved that courage doesn't come from size, and loyalty isn't bound by species. They were more than a horse and a cat. They were family.